Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys are well, and Merry Christmas. It is literally Christmas Day today in where I'm from on the Gold Coast, and I had a spare 30 minutes, so I thought I'd jump on here and have do a video, do a bit of work, and enjoy it because I absolutely love doing this. So, guys, we're going through the reality of living in a real relationship. And what I mean by a real one, I'm not referring to a high school relationship, for a better term, where it's like you get together, it's sunshine and rainbows, it's the honeymoon period where it's just everything's amazing, the sex is incredible, there's no arguments, and it's just a short-term thing. I'm speaking real reality, ups and downs, warts and all when it comes to relationships. And I guess what I've been able to learn through my obviously personal experience and a lot of research and study that I like to do in the topic of this, learning from incredible mentors and people that are expert in this areas as well. So I just wanted to bring to you what's working really well for me, the journey and the growth that myself and my beautiful partner Georgia have gone through together, and hopefully give you guys a tip or two. So hope you guys enjoy this. Let's get into it straight away, guys. So the main thing that I've really come to grips with, and I've learned this from Mr. I've learned this from Dr. John Demartini, is a relationship reveals parts of you that you haven't learnt to love yet and you haven't healed from. Because the person that gets to know you the most intimately, is going to get to know you the most deeply. So they're going to bring up those really deep things that you haven't worked on yet. That's why you get triggered by your partner. And honestly, that's the best part. If you have a great perspective on it, like what I just used just then. It is the best part. Yes, Georgia frustrates me. Yes, Georgia triggers me. Yes, Georgia challenges me. But she does it more than anyone else, deeper than anyone else, because she knows me the most. She knows that she brings up my insecurities. She brings up my childhood traumas. She brings up those parts of me that I haven't learnt to love yet. And I'm so grateful for that because it gives me the opportunity to grow through it. And that right there is the magic. That right there, if you actually listen to what I just said, rewind this and go again, that is the most powerful part that I truly believe about a relationship. I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful that there's been times, and I'm sure a lot of people do, where you have those kind of, you get through the honeymoon period where it's all sunshine and rainbows, it's all upside, no downside, and it's everything's amazing. And then you go through that rockier period where you start to get balanced out. For anyone that follows my content and understands what I say when I mean that, what I mean when I say that, I should say, is when you go through that rocky period and you have those doubts, you question yourself, is this person really the person for me? Am I prepared to put in the work and work through this part? Because it is uncomfortable. And I'm so grateful that I have so far. At the end of the day, if me and Georgia were to come to a place where we genuinely believe that we are not on the right path together or we are not the right people together for each other, then we would come to that decision. It would be a mutual decision. But I'm honestly very grateful for the journey that I've had through it. And that is the biggest one. So when your partner triggers you, I would love to challenge you to have a different perspective on it. When you're triggered, it's triggering or it's bringing something to the surface that you haven't worked on. And by context of being triggered, it gives you that consciousness of that area that you haven't healed from, so you then have that opportunity to work on it. Because if you're not triggered, then you're not aware of what's going on. So yes, your partner's going to trigger you. Yes, they're going to push your buttons. Yes, they're going to bring up shit. But that's the best part because it brings you consciousness on the parts that you haven't worked on. So when your partner triggers you, something that I teach as well a lot is regulate. Slow your breathing down. Get out of fight or flight. Look at a different perspective. Say thank you. Thank you, babe, for bringing that up. Sorry for me for acting the way I just acted. And thank you for being so patient. And thank you for understanding that I'm still working on myself. And thank you for understanding that sometimes I am triggered and sometimes my emotion goes up and down. And I just want to thank you for being understanding and working through it with me. Because being triggered, guys, grows you. It heals you. It allows you to work on yourself. And the person that triggers you most is your intimate partner. So that's one of the biggest ones that I've been really grateful for with my partner. The other part, I guess, a reality of a relationship that I've really recognized lately is if you want to live in a balanced relationship, a fair relationship, it really big component of that is both parties, both people involved, man, woman, or woman, woman, man, man, whatever I guess structure that you're in, maybe an open relationship, who knows? But all the parties involved, if they aren't all continuously growing and working on themselves, then that relationship is going to plateau. And if you listen to Tony Robbins, I love the saying that he says all the time. He's probably got it from someone else anyways. It's like you're either growing or you're dying. There's no in between. So if you're not growing, if you're plateauing, that's going backwards. Think about that in your own personal life or any area of your life. How does it feel when you're not progressing and you are plateauing? It feels shit. So when it comes to a relationship, in my opinion anyways, in my experience, is if you aren't both continuously growing, personally, professionally, emotionally, whatever that looks like. And growth is dependent on what your values are. Where do you want to grow? Do you want to grow financially? Do you want to grow health and fitness wise? Do you want to work on your health? Do you want to grow in your career? Do you want to grow in your business? Do you want to grow in your spirituality? Like, where is it that you want to grow? That's totally up to you. But if you're not continuously growing, then you go into plateau. And then that, therefore, from what I just said before, you're dying. The relationship is dying. And as soon as you hit that part, it is a ticking time bomb until that relationship ends. So what I really, I guess, encourage to any clients that I work with when it comes to relationship is make sure you guys schedule in time for your own growth per week. Whether that's together, whether that's by yourselves, whether that's separately, whether you go to a couple events a couple times a week, whether you watch a podcast or two a week, whether you have 30 minutes of reading per day, or whatever it is that you want based on the level and growth that you want to have, just make sure you schedule it in. Because I've really, and this is one of the most grateful parts I am about Georgia, and I fucking love her so much for this, is seeing her growth, and her growth makes me grow more as well. I want to use a personal example. Like the other day, I was on the phone to Georgia, and she offered something really nice and sweet, and I snapped at her. Not like a 10 out of 10 bad, as in I said, fuck you, bang, bang, bang. But the way I responded, I had a negative tone in it. And honestly, that was a reflection of me. I was a bit stressed. I was a bit overwhelmed. And I did not respond to her nice suggestion with a good attitude, with a good emotion. And what I love about this, because she's really been growing with her own self-worth and her self-image and her own self-care, she held me accountable. She sent me messages where I was the immature man, and I said, no worries, babe, I'll see you soon, love you, bye. And I just got off the phone because I was in a shit mood. That was me. She sent me some really direct, honest messages about how she will not tolerate me treating like that anymore. And honestly, my ego showed up. I was like, fuck this, blah, blah, blah. And I was just coming up with all these attacking, defensive, just my ego was going wild when it happened. But honestly, I took a big breath in. I was like, you know what? What is this teaching me? Is this an opportunity for me to be better? I've been visualizing and asking for a healthy, balanced relationship, and this is what it looks like. Having a partner that values herself or himself, whatever your setup is, and they hold you accountable. Because when someone values themselves at a high level, they don't tolerate shit. And I was being a dick. I had a shit attitude. She offered something really nice. It went against what I was already planning, and that's why I snapped, because it just went against what I was wanting to do. But that's still no excuse for me to respond the way that I responded, and she held me accountable. And I fucking love that. But that comes down to her own growth. And just being transparent, I'm sure if I was to ask Georgia this question as well, if I was to do the same thing I did when we first started dating, I think she would have just gone along with it, and she would have allowed my poor behavior. And I've seen this a lot in a lot of people's relationships that I work and help with, is when they don't really value themselves, they allow shitty behavior in their relationship, and they get stood on, they get walked all over, they don't get what it is that they want, because you get treated based on how you value yourself and your self-worth. If your self-worth is shit, you get treated like shit. If your self-worth is extremely high level, high standard, then you get treated with high standards, because you won't tolerate low standards. And that's what Georgia did to me. And even though my ego popped up and I was like, I said things, I'm like, fuck, is it worth being in this relationship? Babe, should we break up? I was saying things like that because my ego, my masculine ego about trying to be right and trying to be in control and whatever was going on showed up. But then when I took a breath and I calmed down. I was like, you know what? This is perfect. Thank you, Georgia. And I said I was so grateful for her. I've told her these same words I'm saying right now in this video. And I'm just so fucking grateful for being held accountable for my poor behavior. And that comes from personal growth. If right now you're in a relationship and you're getting treated poorly and you're tolerating it, it's because you don't value yourself at the highest level or a high enough level to hold your partner accountable. Because maybe you're scared of them leaving you. Maybe you've got fear of being alone. Maybe you're anxious about them leaving you and you're scared of not being in a relationship because you've been with them for a couple years. That attitude is going to long term lead to that relationship ending. Why? Because when you don't get called out on your shit, your respect for your other partner actually goes down subconsciously. So when you get, it's like when someone tries to overpower someone and someone stands firm with who they are and they don't allow that, your respect for them goes up. You're like, okay, this person knows who they are. They value themselves. They respect themselves and therefore I respect them more. And that comes from, again, working on yourself. So I think personal growth is an absolute must when it comes to relationships. Otherwise, you're going to plateau. Not going to have high levels of self-worth. You're not going to grow together in the relationship long term. Will perish. And that's my personal opinion. Honestly, the last part that I wanted to bring up on this is, from my experience and what I've noticed, again, with clients and myself, and from what I've been able to research and study, is really healthy relationships are quite boring. And if you watch a previous video that I've done on my YouTube, and I talk about like the pendulum, I can't remember, but I think it's along the lines of how to master your emotions or how to control. I think it's how to control your perspective on the world. I think that's the video. But I talk about a pendulum and the pendulum swings, high positive, low negative. And it's like whenever you have a high, you will always be balanced out with a low, low. And that's like when people get really, really happy, really over the top confident, and then you get balanced out by feeling shit, feeling depressed, beating yourself up, etc. And we've all been there before. So and the same thing in a relationship, if you have really high highs, you have really low lows. It's like when you have a big fucking argument with your partner and then you have incredible fucking make-up sex. And most people can relate and to agree to that, is when you have those really nasty arguments, it normally gets compensated by like a date or a present or amazing sex, or maybe the relationship ends, who knows. But the more balanced you become, where you don't have as high highs or low lows, you still have highs and lows. They're just not as big. They're littler highs and littler lows. My language is not on point right now. I should come up with better words for that, but that's okay. But I think what I'm getting at is the more balanced you come, the less volatility that you have with the highs and the lows. Is that relationships, a healthy one, is kind of boring. Like you don't have those big fucking arguments, because you know what feels really fucking good in a relationship? Having a fucking argument, fucking screaming, showing your dominance, proving a point, making your partner feel dumb. We've done it before. I've done it before. I'm fucking guilty of that. But long term, who wins? No one. You lose. So being able to become more balanced and see both sides and control and regulate your emotions, honestly, a healthy relationship can, from the outside looking in, be quite boring. That doesn't mean you can't schedule in fun. You can't schedule in activities that you both enjoy. And that's something that me and Georgia are currently working on. We're working on finding things that we both mutually find fucking enjoyable, which matches our values. And we do together. Like something we literally did this morning, Christmas morning, is we went down to a park. We took tennis rackets and tennis balls, a vortex, took the dog with us, and we were just hitting the tennis ball back and forth, throwing the vortex, getting some sun, getting some fresh air, getting some exercise. It's like that's enjoyable for us and that's fun for us. But we've only literally started doing that in the last week. And we figured that out. We're trying new things. We're scheduling dates to do things. We're scheduling things to go do that's fun for both of us. But from the outside looking in, day to day, week to week, majority of the time, it can seem quite boring because you're not living in chemical highs and chemical lows. You're pretty neutral most of the time. And that's what I've really experienced. So I hope that helped, guys. This is what's really, I guess, been my perspective and my growth in a relationship, is that it helps you grow, it triggers you, and it reveals areas of yourself that you haven't learned to heal from. You must both grow continuously, not just from context of what I just said, where you're just going to trigger each other, that's going to make each other grow more if you've got the right perspective and you know how to get those lessons and be held accountable to do that, because that speeds up the growth, which I love. And guys, honestly, I think they become quite boring. Not boring in the sense of like, this is shit, I want to get out of it, but it's like you don't have those huge arguments and those massive make-up sex sessions. Again, not to say you can't schedule in incredible times to be intimate and have an incredible sex life with your partner. That's not what I'm saying. But those big highs and massive lows, they're just not as common, because you're both working on yourself, you're both regulating your emotions better, and you're both being able to communicate in a really healthy way. I hope that helped. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If you did, if I could ask a favor, like the video, comment your thoughts below, subscribe. If you could send this to one person, I'd really be grateful for it. Make it my Christmas present. It's literally Christmas today. Merry Christmas, guys. You probably might not watch this. This probably won't be uploaded for a couple of days. But guys, thank you so much. I'm grateful for you all. Thank you for supporting me. If you got any value from it, like I said, send it to someone, like, comment, and subscribe. I love you all, and I'll see you guys on the next video.